Welcome to the Four Horsemen podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, to my immediate right, the Livingston Man, who represents death as the horseman. We have right above me the roaming prepper. He is the war that comes. And to my left, my left,
Get you.
pestilence in the building, vision, preparedness.
Vision, touch my finger, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go hand
we
in hand.
end badly.
And I, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, represent the pestilence. Or no, I'm sorry. Famine. We're all gonna starve.
It's that mountain house you keep peddling.
That's right. Good job.
Mountain house.
But we are
Maurice, man.
as the Four Horsemen of the podcast. And Livingston Man, could you roll that beautiful beam footage?
Apocalypse style, four horsemen riding dirty. Death on my left, keep the Glock sturdy. Standing in the kitchen, hunger like a beast. War paint ready, unleash the inner beast. Pestilence drop, spread fear in the streets. Disease hit the block, no dark can compete. Horseman information, skies turning black. Future looking bleak, no turning back. Four horsemen riding on the edge of night. Chaos in the wake, no end in sight. Four horsemen bringing dark to the light. End days marching, get ready for the fright. Four horsemen riding on the edge of night. Chaos in the wake, no end in sight. Four horsemen bringing dark to the light. End days marching, get ready for the fight.
Very cool.
And welcome back. Hopefully everybody got to actually see that this time. The last time we did it, and I noticed that wasn't the right mix either, Livingston Man. That we'll fix that. I promise. But welcome everybody to the Four Horsemen podcast. And tonight's topic for everybody here on the panel is what is your first move when the grocery stores are no longer available? Are you going to immediately dig into your preps, or are you looking to add to them as quickly as possible and extend your preps out, looking for alternate means other than the grocery store? The little hidden corners that folks don't think about. And I think this kind of topic will get folks' wheels turning.
Yeah.
And hopefully open their minds to some things that they haven't previously thought about before. So whoever wants to jump in on that topic, go for it. The floor is yours.
So by grocery stores, you're referring to the AKA Walmart's, Kroger's, United.
Yeah. You're just in time. Let's say for instance, the just in time delivery system is totally crippled, and those trucks, for whatever reason, are no longer heading to the stores. Your roads are still passable, but we're into those stores are now empty. That 3-day supply is gone. We're day 7 or 8 past a truck being at a store. So the things that are left there are undesirable, shall we say? Expired produce and the bags of frozen peas that nobody wants. But yeah, that's kind of the premise. What's your go-to at that point? Are you what's your thing?
It's interesting out here. We moved out here because we're a city in the middle of the country, in the middle of nowhere. The kids have been a big thing out here. And when I say big thing, I'm talking 100 tents of produce and eggs and zucchinis, and they even have the master gardener Texas come out if you want to learn how to plant your own. Something I need to do. I need to redo my yard, but that would be my plan B. A lot of people wouldn't think of that right off the button. Also, there are a lot of ranch direct to customer. So,
Mm.
like hypothetically, like if Trent and I live close enough, I'd say, hey, I'm going to go to the ranch and I'm going to buy a pig. Are you in? He says, yes, get the price. And I go pick up, get the cooler, get the product. And then Trent and I square away money and product and divvy everything up and off we go.
Yeah.
So that would be my first go-to for me is
Yeah.
probably all the local markets.
Yeah, something more farm direct, right? More farm
Yep.
direct. Trent, what do your thoughts?
Yep, that I'm right there with him. That's my first call would be to one of my guys and say, hey, let's call up the rancher and see if we can get a cow and let's split it.
Yep.
And go from there. And on the way back, I'm making some calls to a few select people to see if they want to go in on it and go from there.
And if you have a good relationship with your neighbors and local friends, then you also get a trading post started between you.
Right.
Oh, hey, I managed to pick up, I don't know, a bit of bottled water that was on wholesale. And do you need a case of water? And I'll trade that for whatever rice. There's little things. I honestly think we'll see a whole little, I don't know if it would be a black market at that point.
Right.
Just like
you would see a whole, a whole bartering and trade process occur all at once. And I've seen it more out here than in other places.
Yeah, I think the more rural you are, the more likely those things are to happen.
Exactly.
Folks in the city, man, my best advice is stack it to the rafters. But Livingston, man, what are your thoughts on the what's your go-to when those stores are toast?
Switch it up a little bit. I figured that usually what I have seen is the new pattern is a run on like non-essential product.
Right.
Whereas properly stocked canned food, freeze-dried food, you have if you are prepping and have been, like, you'll probably be all right without it's going to be inconvenient for you, but you're going to be all right. Also is that, like, oh, the grocery store shut down, the supply chain issues. But what we see from people is that, like, I'm going to use the word stupid because that's what they are. And when they hoard and fist fight each other over non-essential items, when in fact, like a smart, like, logical person will gather things that are useful to them.
Right.
So when they tell me, and I'm going to be a little extreme here, but is that when they tell me that the grocery store is kaput, like, I'm going to have to go send a brick through the front window and go check it out, find out for myself what was left behind. And probably what I'm going to find is, like, useful things because people just hoarded out the dumbest shit.
It's interesting you say that. During Hurricane Ike, my wife did a quick inventory with the kids. They were older, teenagers. And they texted me a list: batteries, D batteries, like, it was very specific, D batteries, more toothpaste, something like, stuff we lost track of. And so I'm getting these very specific items, and I got the raw materials to make bread, bread and, flour, yeast. I'm like, I have 48 hours to cook this all, and I'll have 3 loaves of bread on the counter. And I saw people putting literally 6 dozen eggs in a shopping cart and milk. And I'm like, you're not going to have power in 36 hours.
This ain't going to work. Unless
you're going to make the world's biggest omelet or an ass load of burritos. All that stuff's going to go bad. And I mean, to Lou's point, I'm sitting there watching people, but nobody, the evaporated milk, powdered milk, nobody was touching it.
Nope.
And I'm like, so I just took a few extra. It wasn't like I was taking from someone's kids. They were oblivious to it. So he has a good point. You'd want to check the store and got left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's people don't make informed decisions anymore. There's a very much a herd mentality amongst, like, you know, the masses these days. It's what's trendy, what's like what the news said. Oh my goodness gracious, the toilet paper is going to be at a show. I don't know what is up with people in toilet paper. I don't know,
They
but
got an obsession.
that's
with
the
it
thing. Like, I think what it is a conspiracy by Big Poop to make everybody buy more paper. It's what it is. But like I said, I can't stress it enough, is that be smart and like take stock of what actually matters, or what is good raw materials, like Pete said, for
Yeah,
something better down the line. Like
absolutely.
there's a generation out there among us that doesn't know how to prepare food from raw ingredients. If it's not microwavable and pre-processed, they kind of don't even know what to do with it.
They do.
Unfortunately, in a grid down, in a SHTF situation, you are going to be put in a position where you need to be able to prepare things from raw ingredients, whether that's shelter, first aid, or food. You're going to need to know how to put 2 and 2 together and make it 5. So plan ahead for that kind of thing. Nobody wants to break into that 50-pound sack of dried beans you got in the basement, but boy, when you're hungry, you ain't gonna care.
No, you're gonna be awful happy. You
know what they're gonna leave behind in the remnants of the grocery store? Those 50-pound bags of rice, because they literally actually physically don't know what to do with it.
If you want to know what's gonna disappear right away, just Google what to prepare for disaster, and I guarantee you those items are probably the first ones to go, because the people who don't know are just going to Google it, and then those items are going to
run
disappear.
out.
Yeah,
it's trendy.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether they eat it or not, they're going to just take it.
Exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of it's going to end up in the landfill. We saw this with the Wu flu. A lot of people ran to the stores as they saw things starting to shut down, and they bought a bunch of stuff that they didn't need or know how to use, and they stockpiled it, and 3 years later they threw it away. Right?
Yeah,
you guys are still finding stuff in the back of your pantries from the Wu flu days that you forgot to rotate.
I ate all my preps in like 3 days.
There's also stuff I thought would be a good idea. I was looking for one product. I saw another one. I was like, I'm going to try a box or a small case of this product. And some of them were hits. Like, we made them. We're like, oh, this is really good. There were others we tried and we're like, wow, that's a can of ass. That's terrible. I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
And they wound up being given away. We actually gave them away on the Facebook group in the neighborhood. We just said, hey, does anyone's kids like these, these noodles or these chips, whatever it was?
Yeah.
And people would trade. It was really cool. Hell, they were even trading wine for tequila. It was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was
going on.
I was looking for smaller Mylar bags because I realized, you know what? I need to take this 20-pound bag of rice and break it down into, 2 cups, 1 cup, 4 cups.
Yep.
Versus trying to keep, 5 pounds. 20 pounds of rice. And that's what I did. I just broke it down into smaller Mylar bags and threw it all back in the 5-gallon bucket. So all I have to do is just reach in and grab a small bag and go cook dinner.
Perfect. I did the same thing. And honestly, also, if you're going to trade with someone, they have, I don't know, they have toilet paper. I'm just making up stuff. And you have rice and you want to exchange. You don't want to reveal, wow, I have a whole 20 pounds, whatever. Yeah. But you have a pack of rice. And here's your pack of rice for my whatever product. And you're not revealing more. It's aside from getting spoiled, just not showing your hand. Someone mentioned in the chat, I think it was the Prepared Irishman, having a ton of food could make your target. So you don't want to tip people off.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now let's go with this. And I see Chance Paladin's comment here. He says one of the worst things that disappeared during the Rona was yeast. There wasn't any yeast for like 9 months. And here's what happened is because everyone, though we were socially isolated and scared to death of the evil boogeyman out there trying to kill grandma, what happened was that though we were extremely isolated, instead we went into this virtual isolation. I was physically alone, but I could be there in the internet with everyone. What people were doing, there, the two things people did during the pandemic era was build decks on their house and learn how to bake bread.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, now here's a situation where, in fact, it was a sort of end of the world thing. There was shortages and there was problems, and you couldn't go out in public. A regular old black plague amongst us all.
Yeah.
But yet there we all were, sharing trends and doing things. Somehow we're on lockdown. I can't leave my house. Oh my gosh! But we're all at the grocery store buying all the yeast and toilet paper. Very interesting. And so here is where, like, now imagine a situation where we're not all connected now, and we're not influenced by trends and whatnot, and you're going to be left high and dry. Like, if you're uninspired as to how to do this, you're going to be really screwed, because you don't have that internet, that influencer, that Google to tell you what to do.
Exactly.
Why you're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is to learn what to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can't learn it from the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, we're going to drop little glass slippers all over the place. And what it's your job to do is make them fit your ugly little feet. Because we're not just going to keep dropping hints on how to survive what we're going to bring to this world, okay? But you get a couple of chances. Listen closely.
It's true. True.
Vision, especially, he waves his hand.
Frogs, crickets.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, that's pestilence. That's not plague. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's just people dropping.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you said, while everybody's running around and the boogeyman is chasing you, and if you just stop and think about it and turn around, there's no boogeyman.
Yeah.
You just told there was. Boogeyman was somewhere. They made it seem like he was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny that you guys bring up the products, because you notice liquid soap, antibacterial soaps, all the little pumps were gone.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things we missed, we had Dawn. I actually bought a case, like it was on discount right before they shut us down. I'm like, oh look, a sale, and it just turned out to be fortuitous. We didn't have the stupid hand soap, and I'm like, well, I'll go get some hand soap. There's probably none anywhere. No liquid soap. I go around that same display, bars of soap.
Oh yeah. But
every kind, Ivory, Dove, Irish Spring, you name it. There were bars of soap everywhere. There was borax everywhere, but the antibacterial stuff, gone. And I'm like, you could have just come, and people were in that aisle going, oh no, there's no soap. And I just walked around and I'm like, Ivory,
plenty of soap here.
Doesn't spoil, doesn't spill.
Right.
Nope.
You can even use it for laundry detergent if you shave it up a little bit.
Yep.
Like, what the hell, guys? And it's $5 for a big old pack. So I just got 2 packs and I walked to the front. And it's like, and I went back a week later. Guess what? It was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nobody. They
The easy stuff, man. Everybody wants the easy cheese. Nobody wants to cut cheese. Right. Nobody wants the easy cheese. Nobody wants to cut it.
Our culture and our level of education is abysmal. If you're not like a person that like physically saw or lived like the so-called old ways, and like, listen, I'm 40 years old, and I'm talking about like this was like 100 years ago, but forgive me, but these kids these days, and by that I mean I guess anyone 30 or below, maybe it's our fault. We didn't like bring you along for the thing, but y'all don't know shit. Like this, like people saying, like, well, perfectly good, like arguably better
products sit on the shelf.
Everybody just goes for the convenience, or they just grab what everybody else is buying. This sort of herd mentality. And
yes.
When I did my MBA, one of the things we did a class about competition, right? And you think about it, if we all go to the store, it's competition between the people.
Right.
And one of the biggest maneuvering points for business, if I'm competing for a certain raw material to make my whatever it is I'm making, is alternate products. And nobody thought of this. They just all locked up.
Yep.
And it was frightening, actually, because if it was actually something ugly, I think people lost their shit more than they did.
Oh yeah, big time,
Yeah.
big time. I think what
Your Walking Dead scenario is this ignorant mass of people that just
yeah, they're the real zombies.
forgive them, Father. They know not what they do, but
Right.
yeah, the unprepared masses. That's your quote unquote zombies. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
Yes.
So the original topic of the grocery stores ending, my stance on it is a little different. I'm looking before I hit the farms, because I know the farms are still going to be there, at least for a little while.
Mhm.
I'm looking like restaurant supply depots. I'm looking
Yep.
for places like Cisco or larger supply, the suppliers who supply the suppliers. You know
Right.
what I mean? Not necessarily, but their warehouse distribution of food. That's my next go-to is bigger bulk than I was thinking to begin with.
So we're gonna do show up there and like ring the bell
Well,
for service.
Well, there
pay with
actually is
cash.
there is some places around here that you can actually go still do that. You can go into the shop and ring the bell and fill out the form, and they'll bring it all out to the loading dock for you, and you can load your car with it and
Yep.
pick up
Same
200
here.
pounds of flour, a couple 100 pounds of wheat.
To be
Yeah.
clear, he said you can do that now.
You can do that now.
Yep.
You can do that now, and these places exist. So get on it, man. Get on it.
That's right.
I can't tell you.
Talking about freezing a cow. The local farm down the road here, they have a billboard. It says freezer beef. What they mean is like you call up and order portions of a cow. It's I think split up into eighths or
Yep.
however they do it. But
Yep.
yeah, you can get like a whole ass cow all processed, and they'll even do it the way you tell them to do it. And
Yep.
pound for pound, not only do you know where it came from and probably know the guy you bought it from,
Yeah.
pound for pound, you're going to save money. Do you need a chest freezer or something big? To keep
Yes.
it? Yes.
Yes, you do.
And a backup system to keep that. But you're talking, you can get yourself a couple 100 pounds of beef for like a couple hundred or more dollars.
Yep. It's important to stretch your dollar nowadays because we're all feeling the pinch,
Anything you
So-
can preserve and save for later.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
another thing we have here, and it's location based, that you guys may not see where y'all are, is I'm 3 hours from Mexico. I literally could go over the border to the carnicerias or the pan over the border, buy product, and come back. And like, if you don't think boys like me in Texas don't have pesos and the silver, whatever the hell, libertads, as well as US dollar, yeah, we do,
Yes.
because we know, we're gonna go here and buy, some, I don't know, tequila, whatever nonsense. Well, you could just easily go and go bring product back.
Yeah. La Plata or Lo Plomo, which one?
Yeah, well,
Just tell them
you
what's up.
definitely want to be nice to the sicarios as you pass them, because they're pretty
You
much
have to.
running the place at that point.
Be
Yeah.
nice to everyone.
And like you said, I literally right down the road is a guy who sells freezer beef. And he's
Yeah.
got Black Angus cows out in the back. I've never been there, but you can best believe shortly, next time I see him, I'm going to stop and introduce myself and talk to him about prices.
It's awesome because if you get there early enough, you can actually go to the field and pet your dinner before they bring it.
Yes.
No, that's some sadistic shit, man.
No, I'm just joking.
I'm ruthless, but
You
I'm
could,
not
you
on it
could.
like that. How you doing? Good morning.
Usually,
burger.
usually if you're going to
See you later.
well, the specific place that I go to, if you're going to go buy a portion of a cow or a cow itself, you got to do that well in advance. It's going to be weeks, months,
Yep.
like eight to 12 weeks before your beef is ready for you. The beef that you're buying is still grazing in the fields when you purchase it.
Got to get grass
Yeah.
finished. Man.
Yeah. And then once they know they have the orders, they, bring the cows in and do the thing.
process,
And then you get charged for it because everything is sold by hanging weight. And you're typically between $4 and $5 a pound hanging weight in our neck of the woods right now. Which is a great price, especially for your T-bones and things like that.
Yep.
$4 or $5 a pound is fantastic for that. And you pay a little bit more for your hamburger. but you're getting quality meat that you can really stock up on, man. You're going to need a couple of chest freezers if you're going to get like a quarter of a cow.
I went to this farm to table restaurant one time and paid way too much for a fucking hamburger. And so as I'm sitting there enjoying this bacon cheeseburger that was, I was $25 or whatever the hell. This dude comes out and he's all like, I own the place. I'm like, that's very fucking cool, man. And he proceeds to show me a picture of the cow I'm eating, and I'm like, you know what I don't need you to do is that. I don't need you to do that. Like a cow with them. I get the statement, like, yes, like, there's a real connection for the farm to table thing. I get it.
Yeah.
But
it's a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no. We don't need to do that either. I almost felt like he was like Peter, like you fucking it had a name. I'm like, good, cool. You know what would be sweet is if they named cows like Livingston, I would buy that one. Like
put them in the field.
Oh, yeah, I see a comment by Canadian who says the Mormons have many good storage facilities. Not many know exist. Now, another thing about the Mormons is they are also known as the Latter-day Saints. And they have a place called the LDS Cannery, which I believe is in New Jersey. I think the cannery is in New Jersey. So if you're from the Hudson Valley or the New York tri-state area, you can actually go to the LDS Cannery and see how they process things and potentially purchase some goods from the LDS Cannery.
The Mormons are like the straight up original preppers, man. They said, you know what? This whole East Coast thing ain't for me. You know what we're gonna do is find our own like private place out in the middle of the desert with nobody bothering us. We're gonna go there, and that's what they did, and I have done since. Forefront of the prepping and sort of not off grid, but separate from grid lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I like the Amish too.
Exactly. And whatever their religious beliefs are, is that they have this aspect of them as well. They're good thing to get involved with in terms of the products that they can offer and the way that they can do business.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned
way to do it. Yeah. We've got a chicken place, a chicken farm right down the road. You can walk in there and literally get whatever you want of the chicken, including eggs, heads, feet, breasts, whatever it is.
Can I get like 20 pounds of nuggets?
Yes.
Nuggets.
I just want the wings, bro.
They'll cut up breast meat and make nuggets for you.
That's how I know Ohio ain't real. That shit ain't real. You can't just get 20 pounds of nuggets. You walk in like, let me get that one.
Yeah. They'll take chicken breasts and cut them up and say, here's your nuggets.
No, they won't.
Yeah,
they will.
You pay for it though. Like you pay for the extra cutting.
Yeah.
This is Ohioan disinformation.
Ohioan disinformation.
He'll just say anything. He'll just say anything.
How about if I just rip this open and process it into nuggets and say, here's your chicken?
I dare you. I dare you to eat it right out of the can. It's going to expire.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
If folks are thinking about raising their own cow, Tiger says their cow was 710 pounds hanging weight, and they charge them 80 cents a pound for processing. So less than $700. They had a cow process, their own cow. So something to consider, guys. If you have some room and you could raise a steer, it might be cost effective for you to do this. If you have a small area, you can pen them, but you definitely got to check with your local zoning department. Make sure that you can have cow, man.
I'm going to be mud and bring up how much it costs to raise the cow to be 710 pounds.
Oh yeah, God.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not cheap, but
it's like
it may be cheaper than purchasing.
It's like when you grow tomatoes and like you struggle and suffer like all summer long to get like 6 tomatoes, and you're like, oh, you pat yourself on your back. I saved 25 cents for fucking 3 months of my life to get this
freaking tomatoes. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. My daughter actually brought me an AeroGarden with tomatoes, and I kind of lost track of them, and they're like getting stuck in my blinds now. The little stupid cherry tomato, and I hate them. My wife loves them. They
Oh,
offend me like nobody's business.
Yes.
It's the
But
other end
now
of-
I'm doing
Or
it.
you end up with 10,000 rotten tomatoes everywhere. Like I hate.
Well, no,
tomatoes.
I've been clipping them, and I actually have a pollinating brush. I have to brush the little flower. But to me, it was an experiment she handed me. I'm like, I've never grown tomatoes before, and I have this little gizmo that's pooping out tomatoes. And it's just going up. And finally, my wife was like, "Yeah, we need to control this. This is like a little bit much." But yeah, it didn't hurt. At least I kind of understand how the plant behaves.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But
And well, to have it like an arrow garden like that, where it provides its own light, its own water, its own anything. Basically, you have an indoor hydroponic system.
yeah,
And if you could grow like bean sprouts or something like that, you could really give yourself some serious nourishment.
yeah.
I
I wish
hate
the
being-
lights went higher though.
Yeah. Well, there's always with the LEDs and the advancements in solar technology, man. I think we should all look into small closet growing systems.
Not only that, solar battery banks, solar
Oh yeah,
solar
energy.
powered battery banks.
Yeah.
You should get one, whichever class of one, size of one you can afford, and figure out how to use it. There's a way you can use these things to cut back on your electric cost. Number one,
Yeah.
but still be able to supplement your use. The bigger you can afford, the bigger you can grab. I always say this: buy real stuff with the fake money now, because when the whole digital thing crashes, they ain't coming to collect debts because they can't.
Yeah.
Get you a Jackery 2000, get you a Opus Mega right now,
Yeah, man. Do it.
and
Do it.
either pay it off like a respectable citizen, or the shit hits the fan tomorrow and you listen, you got
Hey,
that shit for free, man.
That's right. It was on the plastic. Let it go.
They're not coming for that.
It's a big thing, man. At some point there will come a day where we all wish we had maxed out the plastic the day before. I am a firm believer in that, and a lot of folks are going to be left wishing they had. And don't be one of those people, man. Don't be one of those people. But also don't go in the stupid debt buying something that you don't really need. And
It's a
definitely
real leap of faith, okay? Because we can sit here and be like,
man, research it.
the end is nigh, but yeah, boy, does it take a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
we're
if you use the credit
days in.
wisely, right? If you
Yeah.
have that $600 purchase, but you can only afford $100 a month payment, well, you put it on the card and you pay it off as quickly as you can. Your interest won't be very much. Where people get their lunch eaten is you load up your credit card and then you pay the minimum and then you pay 30 years, 10 years, whatever.
Right.
And your interest is as much as what you originally borrowed. It's insane.
Ooh, but that credit score, that's the thing. Like this very real and relevant system we live under in terms of credit is so I went to Kohl's one time. I had to get clothes for work and I needed something like kind of decent.
Wait, you couldn't go naked.
Right. So they're like, you want to apply for a Kohl's credit card? This purchase won't even cost you nothing today. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Put like $300 and something on this Kohl's credit card. I straight ignored it for like 8 months. They're ready to send it to collection. So then I gave them like $12, literally, like the minimum payment. My credit score like went way up, dude. Then I got tired of like receiving these bills from these people. So I was just like, what the hell with y'all? And I paid it off. My credit score went down because how dare I do exactly what I agreed to do in the terms and conditions? Because this very real credit system is relevant and clearly works for the common person where, what I want to do? You know what I want to do? I want to pay for this fucking thing like 5 times. Fuck it. Fuck it. And it's a very real system, and it matters, and should be considered, the foundation of our constitutional republic. Is I said to somebody one time, I said, "Why do we even have this?" He says, "So you can have things you can't afford." I said, "I think that's the fucking problem, though."
Well, yeah,
we're a debt-based society,
right.
Yep.
To who the fuck do I owe
that's something.
Jupiter?
If China's in debt and Russia's in debt and we're in debt and Europe's in debt, well, who has the money?
Exactly.
Right.
Who's not in debt?
It's not real. It's not real.
It's all caca, yeah.
Do you hear
Oh, man.
ourselves?
Yeah, it's
That money. Okay, see this piece of paper is the same as this other one. But this one's worth more.
yeah.
Right.
Just saying.
It's
Gold and
crazy.
silver.
Explain.
crazy.
Imagine explaining this to a space alien. They show up. They're like, "Here's a piece of paper, and here's another piece of paper. This one is worth more than this one is." Why? Why though? What's it
This-
backed by? Nothing. Fucking nothing.
The full faith and credit of the
Faith
Federal
and
Reserve.
credit of
Yeah.
the U.S. government, because they're.
Could you imagine calling up American Express and say, "I'd like to pay off my credit card with $30,000 worth of gold"?
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to take it.
Somebody
They're not going to take it.
Somebody went to a store and they were getting shit for having a big bill, like they had 100, because that's what the
Yeah.
ATM. So that
Yeah.
lady, I actually saw this happen in Houston. She went back with a jar of pennies.
precious
Yep.
metal.
Oh,
Probably, and
like-
pound for pound, it's actually worth more than it actually is.
It probably
No,
is.
man, I think they robbed all the copper out of the pennies. They did that during the Great Coin.
I don't think there are any copper in the pennies anymore.
during the pandemic, exactly,
What are
because
they,
they
just zinc?
rounded up all of the copper ones, and now they're just copper colored crap. They stole
It's
all
like
of the precious
tin.
metals out of our money.
After
you-
65.
Oh God! If you can hear a silver quarter hit a countertop from 100 miles away, you know what I mean. They have a very distinct sound, and they rounded all that up. They called it a coin shortage because they knew there was still a bunch of silver out there.
That's right.
And they said, "Oh, there's this great coin shortage. You know, not everybody's out there spending money, and the banks don't have coins, so we're not going to be able to make change. So, guys, dig through all your change and go turn it in." And I was like, "Hell no! I'm keeping
Nope.
all my copper pennies. Screw
Yep.
that. It's way worth more in the copper than what our money's worth."
I'm going to take a
right.
controversial stance here. I have always now one of the main preps now. Given the choice between like a digital system that can easily fail and leave you high and dry when the electricity doesn't work,
Right.
Mhm.
that system you need to either reject or manipulate in your favor.
Mhm.
Then it comes to all right, SHTF, grid down, right?
Okay.
Cash and or precious metal.
Right.
I consistently make the point that cash and heavy metal cannot be eaten, drunk, worn, or fucked.
Yeah.
What is it actually worth?
It's
to you?
only worthwhile if it's accepted in the community as a medium of trade.
Yep.
Right.
What does it do
So-
for the community? So the community builds a stack of copper but has no food.
Well, see, it's interesting. I didn't know this until like a year ago. Texas is one of the few states that actually has its own gold bullion.
They back their
And-
dollar with the gold.
Because
We
Texas is
actually-
a republic, not a state.
Well, right. And the university vaults have this gold apparently split up amongst them, and it's secured and all that fun stuff. But we just voted on a law this last election day that was that within the borders of Texas, we will accept not just dollars, but gold and silver may also be considered a standard of trade by the state. And it made me kind of wonder, what are you guys getting ready for that you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to
let's go
have
ahead
our
and
own little gold and silver standard. But you're right. You can't eat it. It simply becomes a means of exchange. But if it's organized, say the state of Texas says, okay, we're now a silver standard, it prevents chaos to an extent. Everywhere else is going to be a big shit show, right? Because they'll be running around with their paper. But yeah,
Does it
you
exclude
can't
those
eat it.
who did not invest in precious metals? And again,
Oh yeah, totally it would.
personally, and I'm not trying to bring anybody over my side. Personally, I have yet been able to reconcile the practical use of precious metal.
I think precious metals are there to help you retain something after a financial collapse.
What does it do? And I asked this question actually of the human race in general: is that what is the deal here? Because I laid out 4 reasons why it's practically
Useless. Yeah.
and yet
Yeah.
it remains the standard is irremovable from our perception of an economic system is that you need this precious metal that is in fact useless, except that it's shiny and people like it.
Mhm.
And I'm on a path. I'm working through it. Okay? I don't know.
So it has value worldwide.
Why?
Because it's precious metals, gold and silver.
Why?
Because it was deemed that way.
Yeah.
By who?
Yeah. People just saw
Person
it
who created the gold and the silver.
Yeah, it's got to be the aliens.
And so I baited him. And my only reconciliation must be is that we are descended from some sort of extraterrestrial race that bred us quite literally to mine gold and precious metals for their starships and their interstellar ambitions, and that our genetic memory is left with this idea that this is worth something, but it's really not, because you can't.
Although you could use gold and silver in manufacturing, so I guess it has an industrial value, but then if everything collapses, you'll have no power for the factory. So in which case you can't.
Post SHTF, unfortunately, I am not going to construct a starship out of my hoarded gold and silver coins. It's not going to happen. I don't have the my simple question is, like I keep saying, is that even the concept of like gold standard, silver standard, precious metal standard is useless. What you need to do is buy real things that are practical, that keep you alive and keep your community alive, with the fake money, because it ain't real. It's not real. What is that?
Money is the dollars.
I traded 50 cans of Spam for a chunk of gold. I can't even deep fry this fucking thing. I can't do anything with this. I get to say I have this. Look at this, you guys. I have no food. I starve to death, die. But I got gold. It's pointless. You guys need to get off the money thing.
That's why you have the bartering system, which I think that's going to take place regardless of gold and silver. People are going to say, okay, it's valuable, but I need toothpaste for my babies.
Yep. That's going to be.
Or my kids are hungry. Or in my case, I need coffee.
That's right.
Now, coffee, I would do some things for.
I think if we don't, when the SHTF, because I just feel like it's not an if anymore. It's a when everything is going to collapse, and when at least a good chunk of the gears that run these things are going to come to a screeching halt, and we're going to be left to fend for ourselves. I think it's important for us to establish those bartering marketplaces early. Like everybody's having a fucking yard sale at the same time, because everybody's got something to bring to the table. Everybody has some skills to offer, whether you're an electrician, a carpenter, an IT guy. It doesn't matter. Many hands make light work, and just try and be a helper, man. That's what's going to help see you through everything is a positive attitude and a helpful spirit. Honestly, that's the people, the mindset that will rebuild society when it goes through its degenerative cycle. Empires
I want to hunt for a tanker of diesel fuel. Why not?
I'm actually between two refineries that are about 20 miles in each direction. So I guess if the National Guard can keep those secure, and the power plant out here, because we have the natural gas to go to the power plant. It's all here. We just got to protect the assets. So I guess, if the sheriff, the National Guard, and the volunteers all decide, okay, we're going to protect our little area, we could, and that would be something of value, be able to say, hey, you guys got some beef, we got a truck of diesel we can send to you. Oh, hell yeah.
I got 9 cows. Bring me a truck of diesel fuel and you can have 8 of them.
It's the actual products, the actual end result of people's labor that what you want to be interested in bartering and trading for and with. Easy for me to say, like, because I don't have any, is money's some bullshit. All right. I don't have any money, so it's easy for me to say that. And now people got debts, people got bills to pay. I understand it. Like, you got to live in this system until it crumbles, and I promise you that it's gonna someday, Maybe it's going to be a Wednesday. I'm sure of it. But until then, you either got to suffer your way through a system, learn your loopholes and your secret life hacks along the way through it.
Oh yeah.
You should never take it seriously, and for the love of God, do not become a slave to it.
Yeah, that's a big
No.
That's a big thing.
And at all, always think of like a sort of what comes next after this system, a post this system world where this dystopia I'm describing, where like nobody cares if you have gold. I want chicken nuggets, dude. I can't. I'm certainly to hell with the idea of trading my chicken nuggets for your chunk of gold. You go ahead and deep fry your chunk of gold, buddy. I'll see you later. I'm eating chicken nuggets tonight. That's the way it works. Money, these things we're told are worth something. Do you not sometimes wonder if you're just told that so that you believe it, so that someone else can benefit from that belief?
Yeah. Well, welcome to capitalism, my friend.
Well, and it could be just societal, historical things that just linger in the society. But to your point, I don't think everything will collapse evenly. I actually have this theory that
actually not.
The larger systems will crumble, but what each of us experiences could be vastly different depending on where you are and who's around you, and also how you approach the problem. You know, somebody in the middle of Los Angeles or Manhattan, that's going to be pretty abysmal. You know, out where you guys, all four of us are, each of us has different resources, right? You have the solar, wind, the oil and gas out here. You got farming up there and ranches. You adapt to where you're at. You know, even if, the computers are down, guess what? I can run most hand tools. You guys can all do it. I can run a crane. I can run a forklift or a bulldozer. You know, where do you need me? I'll do my part for the community, and then I get whatever payment.
Real world skills, man. It's going to be so valuable when currency is no longer the thing.
I have baited you all directly right into my trap. Because what it sounds like to me is
bring it
to each according to his ability.
Oh yeah.
It's communism. It's communism, ladies and gentlemen. What it's going to boil down to is everybody coming out, supporting themselves, some sort of revolution where we all work toward the common good. Now, real communism's never been tried. All those other versions of communism, that wasn't real communism, bro.
See, but you can still profit in that environment.
Look at China.
I'm a gunsmith.
China is the perfect version of capitalism meets communism. Like they have a strict social controls, autocratic, authoritarian regime. But they've been making their motherfucking money, boy.
They mass produce those apartments, and then people fall through from the 7th floor down to the 5th.
I just say, just let me walk down the street and we just start over. How's that? Start all over.
Vision said, "Yo, this is the new normal."
If they don't calm down in the Middle East, I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to start missing these live streams. It'll be like, where's war? War's over in Israel, burning down Iran.
Man. I gotta tell you,
Then next thing you know, I'm parachuting out at 30,000 feet, taking out whole countries at one time. Yeah.
So we had the discussion,
and I hope that for you.
Backstage.
I want to be there with you when that happens.
Backstage before we got out here, and I had said that I honestly feel that the election is going to let us know whether this trickling war that keeps like slowly expanding, you know what I mean? It's because it is very slowly expanding. If it continues its slow expansion, or if we see the election go the way the folks who are in charge now don't want it to go to, I think we're going to see a thunderclap of war, and everybody just trying to get war out of the way before January, because the new man's coming to town and he's not going to put up with anybody's shit. So everybody's going to try and get it out of the way here real soon. So in November, That's when I expect things to get really spicy one way or the other. Either really spicy or keep kicking that can down the road of the trickling war, you know?
No, I'm not gonna.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, y'all. Come on.
He's thinking.
Yeah, y'all. Come on. You can do it.
You spoke as though you have a certain person you would hope wins this.
No, not necessarily. I'm not speaking as if I have a person that I want to win in this scenario. I just think that pending the outcome of this election, this Middle Eastern conflict is going to either go super duper hot, super fast, or it's going to continue to slowly grow.
Yeah.
This is the part I didn't want to speak of because there's this is a thing you don't speak of because you don't want to unintentionally level criticism at some people that are not allowed really particularly to be criticized. Not cool if you do.
No, I just think that they're going to lash out before somebody would try to really rein them back in.
Well, so then let's talk about language and rhetoric. Then, if you're gonna go ahead and be this, like you're just gonna go into the mosh pit and start swinging at everybody, that's not self-defense. Stop calling it that. Call it whatever you want. Justify it however you want, but stop fucking using that reason. But if you're just gonna, they shot a freaking punk ass freaking Korean made fucking homemade missile at us, and you just blasted the fuck. You just turned a city state into a potato patch with space age weapons, and you called it self defense. I don't.
A potato patch. That's a good description.
Well, it's called war. War is hell.
Yep.
You bomb me, I'm going to scorch the earth that you walk on and take out every single generation and wipe your name off the planet for good.
And then what you'll do is wonder why their descendants that survived hate you.
I don't care. I'll tell them, yes, I did. Your great, 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 great grandfather, I scorched the earth. Yes.
The vicious cycle spares no one, is all I'm saying.
No, you're right. You're right.
It doesn't.
You're right.
War should never be advocated for by sane people. Understanding it has its political uses. As humans, all I can do is shit in one hand and wish in the other that we would get past this phase in our evolution where we refuse to realize that we're kind of all the same on the same rock around the same sun. Now it's real. Isn't that just a pipe dream? Smoke some more weed, Livingston Man. It's like, can we all just get along? I don't know, man. Like, enough already. I'm tired of my father's wars. I'm tired of my grandfather's wars. I'm tired of fucking nations and cultures hating each other for fucking reasons no one alive today had anything to fucking do with. But we sit around and blow hard and act like it matters to us. I have no beef with anyone on this planet. They didn't do it either. And yet when collectively we band together and we say fuck that dude, fuck that cause, fuck that group, not personally, but get us in the group, and that's what you gotta say it. You gotta say it.
You can get groupthink, but it also a lot of people have changed history by not being that person.
Right.
That's right.
So
and if you knock
human
on my
nature,
front door,
there's always someone who goes sideways here.
Yeah, we really got a problem. Knock on my front door, we got a problem.
My big fear is that people will get bold or someone will screw up. The problem is a lot of the people all over the world, these leaders, however they got in power, they're so flippin' arrogant that they think, oh, we can control the outcomes. We're going to drop a bomb here or shoot this guy. And it'll solve our problems, and we just see it very often has an effect. Maybe not right then, but Lou points out, 10 years from now, they're like, oh, remember you shot that guy over there? Well, I just blew up your bus station, so kiss my ass. But I think this is one of those cases. Reminds me of pre-World War I, where you had all these countries and all these alliances, and it was actually a bullshit argument. So, they killed the Archduke, right? That was the excuse. Right. The Serbians had some land that the Austro-Hungarians wanted. They were fighting over this, and it was a regional conflict. And when they killed the Archduke, the Austrians and the Hungarians told the Germans, "Hey, we want to go to war and stomp the shit out of them." And the Germans actually told them no. They're like, "Don't do that because that's going to get ugly." And the Russians and the British, and they were so intent on it because they thought they could control those outcomes. And the next thing you know, you had Russia, and it actually took almost from the time the Archduke died to when armies met was actually a while. It was like months, if not a year, before everything mobilized, and then it just became this meat grinder.
Yeah,
That's what scares me. Like
the incident triggered all these legalities, and back then they used to have secret alliances. You didn't exactly have to make these treaties you made with another guy public. And a lot of times with these European monarchies, as they kind of had back then, these people were literally related to each other.
Oh yeah, but the
They're
Tsar,
fighting
the
their
King of
cousin.
England,
Yeah. And that's how easy it is to get slipped up in a world war. Why people have World War III fears is because these articles and treaties exist today. An attack on one, Article 5 of NATO. Attack on one is an attack on all, and they're all obligated to respond, essentially guaranteeing the triggering of a world war if one power attacks another.
So on that note,
it was designed to outlaw war, to make it infeasible, sort of a
so horrendous. Who would do it?
Mutually assured destruction. But instead, people test it. People test it and push the limits of it, and really nothing's done. We're seeing another version of what was happening in the 30s and 40s with the League of Nations becoming the United Nations is irrelevant. They can say, hey, what that guy's doing over there, hey, violating the human rights, hey, that's illegal, this, that, the other thing, bring up charges. Nobody gives a fuck.
No.
Come get it. They're like, come do something about it then. And we don't, no one does. And so
the cycle continues.
Right.
So is that why I'm not allowed to go to Antarctica?
No, you're not allowed to go to Antarctica because actually there's an ice wall around it. The Earth is flat. Okay, that sun thing, that's a spotlight.
Ice. It's where the ice wall.
Yeah, Antarctica is not real. Even more not real than Ohio. Like, why? How would a guy from Ohio even go to Antarctica? Like,
I think
two unreals don't make a real, Trent.
So
yes, it does. Absolutely, prove it.
Attack on one is an attack on all.
I see you.
Right. The French are now manufacturing what they call suicide drones, right? One-way ticket drones. They are manufacturing them for Ukraine, so Ukraine can strike deeper into Russian territory.
Now, France stands outside of NATO.
Is that why?
France
is that why
different.
they are? Is that why they're the ones doing it? So that Russia goes after France, and then NATO won't do anything if Russia, claps France.
There's a whole lot of NATO in between Russia and France, and
That's
so France acts the way it does.
They are pushing the envelope closer to the edge of the table, and at some point, somebody's going to smack it off.
France's stated nuclear doctrine is if the Russians overrun all of Europe, fine. But if they come within a certain range of France itself, that's when they'll launch. France is a little bit like, I don't really care much about you guys, but don't come at me.
Right.
So what about the U.S.?
The U.S. is NATO, Trent. You know what NATO is?
3 Polish guys.
Yeah.
3 Polish guys in the United States military. That's NATO. That's NATO.
Okay.
Yeah, they just spray paint our trucks blue and let them go.
Yeah.
I think we're in real deep shit here real soon, guys, one way or the other. We are it's not days. You can measure the time in hours between now and election day. And there are not too many of them. I think it's less than 500 hours or something like that until election day. So guys, make sure that you're doing the things at home. Make sure you're prepping things up just in case, right? Because preparedness is nothing more than an insurance plan for us.
Yeah,
correct. We actually have 20 days, 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 9 seconds.
There you go. There you go. 20 days, 20 days. Bolster your preps. Make sure you got water filtration, comms plan, no comms plan. Figure your shit out. I'm going to do a video here real soon on maps and how I go about my maps, how I lay out my maps, how I find my locals if everything falls apart. And that's something I want to share with the community here before election day, because I kind of simplified it the best way I could. And I hope it helps somebody out there. So you got that to look forward to from me. And I know the Livingston Man's been playing with some awesome new camera equipment recently. So there's going to be lots of new stuff coming out from him.
Yeah.
And the roaming prepper is always on it. And y'all know Vision Preparedness is always live all the time. This is like a marathon for him. He just stays on the live streams, man.
Yeah.
If it's not live on his channel, it's on somebody else's.
He ran to the bathroom, the kitchen, and came back with his pot of coffee.
Pot of coffee.
He's ready. He's ready. He's
and a can of Spam that I will never eat.
So, it's there just to keep you hungry.
Exactly. So, you may see me dead in a skeleton body holding this Spam and it's still not opened. So
only a true of heart can pry it from his cold dead hand.
Correct.
Right.
It could declare the
like
next
King Arthur pulling the stone out of the sword out of the stone. Yes.
That's right. That's
but
right.
I'm dropping a video on an alternative heat source that I came across. That's freaking awesome.
Fantastic.
And yeah, folks,
fantastic.
Winter is here. It's coming regardless. It comes every year. And we're going to be in the middle of the unthinkable. So keep prepping, keep stacking, keep racking, keep packing.
That's right.
Winter is the hardest part. If you live in a part of the world that experiences winter, not only is it taxing just on everything, stuff costs more, heating bills, food, but if something happens, it's harder.
That's
Cold makes everything harder. The weather makes everything harder. Expect if some SHIT is going to go down, that the easiest time to pull it off is in winter. Because you know why? Because people don't riot in the winter. It's too cold.
That's right.
They don't go in the streets. It's too cold.
No, spring and fall.
If you're an American citizen, listen to me right now. This election, if it's even allowed to happen, I feel like they're going to let it go on. It's a little close to call it off now. This is going to be the last one. They're going to decide that this is too much for people. And God forbid this fella Trump gets in office. And then I absolutely promise you it's going to be the last one. He's stated unequivocally, I've learned a thing from Donald Trump. I came out supporting him. Donald Trump means what he says. When he says, don't worry about it, you ain't got to vote no more, he means that. If you elect this guy president, you have made the choice for the American version of authoritarianism. If you elect the other person, you have made the choice for the American version of communism. Congratulations. These are your choices. Which one do you want to be?
That's terrible. It's like, hey, I'm going to kick you in the crotch or punch you in the nose, but you get to choose. That's really not a choice. It's terrible.
And this is where we sit.
For whatever reason, the reason I hope this is the last election is that the people decide that this system cannot continue as it is. The worst case scenario is that this is the last election because authoritarianism deems it leader for life shit.
Yeah.
Oh, communism as president for life. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true.
But people think of politics as a line. It's really a circle. Whether you go too far left or too far right, you go from a republic
it just comes right back. Yeah.
A dictatorship or a totalitarian state, and it sucks equally. The too far left, too far right brings you down the same toilet.
Exactly. I often quote 1984, and I reference it a lot. But another one that's worth referencing is Animal Farm by the same author, George Orwell, where essentially at the end of the book, you couldn't tell the two sides from each other. They had become the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And here we are.
That is where we are today.
Become the human. Yeah.
Yep. If you never read that book, it comes off as some kid's book until you start putting it together and you're like, no, they talking about this.
Yeah.
That's for another live stream. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on the 4
Make your
Horsemen
vote count. Are
podcast.
you going to vote for the shit sandwich or the turd burrito?
Yeah. It's your choice.
Neither of which you ordered and didn't want, but that's what we're serving.
That's what we're getting.
That's what you're getting. Exactly.
You have a choice, though. Don't worry.
Kinda.
Maybe.
But gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the 4 Horsemen podcast. Fantastic conversation as always. To our viewers, please share out this live stream. Let folks know that we're here. It's the best way to bring new people into the community. And if you're not subscribed to the Roaming Prepper, Vision Preparedness, the Livingston Man, do the things, hit the buttons, subscribe to these folks. And the 4 of us will convene again next Tuesday night, and the Horsemen will ride. Folks, thanks for joining us. Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, and we're out of here.
Be good.